Mercedes are adamant it's nowhere near the 2022 Formula One title contention given its performance gulf to Ferrari and Red Bull right now. But many are sceptical about the pessimism given that relentless run of championships under Mercedes' belt. At what point do we count Mercedes out of this fight? Helmut Marko seems to think you can't write them off yet, especially when Lewis can break another record at the Australian Grand Prix. But what have Mercedes got that might get them back in title contention? And what's so special about Australia for Lewis Hamilton? Let's find out. F1 can be a fickle sport for the best teams. Mercedes had 8 years of dominance in the sport before this season, but things haven't been going quite right for them recently. With every point that Mercedes falls behind during this difficult early season phase, its chances of winning a constructors' or drivers' title take a hit. Even if they do turn the W13 into a leading car, and there's a good chance that could happen yet, history tells us that playing catch-up is not easy. Historically, it's rare for a significant points deficit to be overturned. Looking just at the Drivers' Championship, the largest deficit overturned was Red Bull driver Sebastian Vettel in 2012, who went from 44 points behind Ferrari's Fernando Alonso after the German Grand Prix. George Russell is already 23 points behind leader Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton is 29 points down. While those deficits aren't massive right now, if they continue to grow even for another 3 or 4 races, they could be too far behind to regain ground without staging an unprecedented turnaround. Given how horrendous Hamilton's Jeddah weekend was, it's genuinely remarkable Mercedes is second in the constructors' standings. The picture in championship terms would be far, far bleaker had Red Bull not imploded at Sakir, but as it stands, the damage has been minimised. A lot of early points have been surrendered to Ferrari and Charles Leclerc in particular, but the current margin absolutely does not reflect the performances of the F175 and the W13. Australia is the perfect place for Mercedes to begin their fight back. Despite 8 seasons having come and gone since F1 made the switch to hybrid cars, no man other than Lewis Hamilton has qualified on pole at Albert Park. The Briton has gone fastest in qualifying every single year there's been a race in Melbourne. The Australian Grand Prix returns to F1 for the first time in 3 years this weekend, due to particularly strong anti-COVID measures in the state of Victoria. The race that had become the traditional season opener disappeared from the calendar altogether in 2020 and 21. If Hamilton manages to put his car at the front of the grid at the end of qualifying on the streets of Melbourne, he'll set a new all-time record for the most poles at any one circuit. The 37-year-old has previously claimed 8 pole positions in Australia, and the same number at the Hungaroring in Budapest to put him level with Michael Schumacher's tally at Suzuka in Japan and Ayrton Senna's total at Imola. Mercedes are set to make their first major hardware change to their car this weekend in Melbourne. They should at least have an all-new rear wing, and possibly some accompanying changes to the floor. These are the first changes of what the team hope will be a development program that can access the potential they believe is within the W13 design. The rear wing set to debut this weekend in Melbourne is expected to have a much smaller section mainplane than that used in Jeddah, despite Albert Park generally being a higher downforce track than Jeddah. That said, changes are being made to the track which will add a new dimension to a track that Hamilton has seemingly mastered. The changes are designed to promote overtaking and will make the track faster than ever, though not quite to the extent of Jeddah. 7 of the 16 corners have been modified ready for the 2022 Grand Prix. The track has also had a 4th DRS zone added, more than any other track on the circuit. Mark Skaife, the 5-time Australian Supercars champion, who worked in conjunction with engineering firm IEDM to make circuit modifications, has elaborated on the changes made. Some of the areas that we've widened will encourage the first lap activity that we love to see at the start of car races. So effectively, in all the little slow corners, you're allowed to get up the inside now, he says. There's extra room on the inside to promote overtaking, and then as a consequence of that, there's more areas where you'll be able to get closer to the cars in front. Vehicle proximity is a big factor in overtaking, and that's going to be encouraged. I'd be excited about the Australian GP changes because you're going to see more mistakes. It's going to be faster, it's more challenging, the character of the track has changed. But the way the track will be configured will encourage overtaking and be better for racing, said Skaife. Mercedes will be hoping that their new reduced downforce wing will make enough of a difference to the overall aero package that porpoising won't be a problem for their drivers anymore. If that is the case, then there is a good chance Hamilton and Russell will be able to compete again. Maybe this weekend we could see Hamilton break another long-standing F1 record by taking pole in Melbourne. We certainly hope so. Even if it doesn't work out for the Brit in Melbourne, we will get another shot at the record when the F1 season heads to Budapest for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Not only has Hamilton been on pole position 8 times at the Hungaroring, he's also won the race 8 times. After Saudi Arabia, Hamilton said, "Not much has changed since the last race. It's only been a few days. What I know is that today I couldn't keep up with the Haas at the end. The power they have. They came slingshotting past me when I overtook Kevin Magnussen earlier on in the race. We've got a lot more work to do, but I know I've got a great team. We'll keep our heads down and try and improve." Hopefully, he can be a bit more positive after the Australian Grand Prix. Helmut Marko certainly seems to think that the Silver Arrows will come back soon. The German team have struggled to adapt to the new regulations brought in for this season, yet Marko is sure that they will recover sooner rather than later. The Austrian has faced a similar situation at Red Bull in 2014, when, after winning 4 consecutive Drivers' and Constructors' Championships, the team struggled massively to even win races, and it wasn't until last year that they finally broke Mercedes' grip with Max Verstappen beating Hamilton to the title. "You have to distinguish between the 2 cases," said Marko. The post-2013 era coincided with the new engine rules, and Mercedes had incredible dominance at that stage. They were up to 2 seconds ahead of everyone, but logically they didn't show it. Now, with the change of chassis and engine, the differences are not so big. Mercedes can no longer click, and suddenly it's a party for them. But the team are very well positioned and also have some really important people in the chassis area. I'm completely convinced they'll come back if they control the porpoising. And Lewis Hamilton is 9 points behind Verstappen, so that's nothing either. I don't think it's the end of an era, but maybe we'll have a battle on the same level. It's unlike Marko to be so positive about his competitors, but I guess it's a little easier when you're already faster than them. He is very complimentary of the Mercedes engineers as well, and rightly so. The engine they designed for the turbo hybrid era was completely dominant. So much so, the Red Bull actually recruited multiple engineers from Mercedes to help them set up their new powertrain production team in preparation for their split from Honda. They weren't just generic staff members that Red Bull took either. They are top management level engineers and designers. Red Bull clearly have a lot of faith in the Mercedes team if they're hiring straight out of it. Mercedes have always had the ability to adapt and improve their car mid-season to whatever the current demands are. Anyone who's doubting their ability to be competitive in 2022 needs to be careful, because the Silver Arrows have the resources and knowledge to race against the best. The first 2 races of the season may have been a stumbling block for them, but you can guarantee they will have learned from their mistakes and will come back stronger. Get ready for the upgrades coming in Melbourne, because Lewis Hamilton may be about to break another Formula 1 record. Do you think Mercedes will be able to pull it out the bag in Melbourne? Or will Lewis have to wait until Hungary to break yet another Formula 1 record? Let us know in the comment section down below what you think. And on your way out of our pit box, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit that notification bell to be sure you don't miss out on any of our content. Till we see you next time, drive safe and bye bye.